Hey, sinners, happy Sunday morning. Hope you're doing well. And have a question for you. Were you aware that Eli Lilly, the pharmaceutical giant, created the first animal-based or not protein, but animal-based insulin for diabetics? So Colonel Eli Whitney got started back in the 1800s. So insulin's been around for quite a while. That they've been dealing with people with sugar issues, but they also generated Prozac, methadone for drug addicts, people with heroin problems, because back in the day, you had cocaine and Coca-Cola, you had heroin and barbiturates and a lot of products, and a lot of things of that nature. Along those lines, the very first vitamin, one a day, was produced by Bayer in the 1940s. So we knew that supplements and things to help our body deal, with like diabetes, short-term memory, all these different things, have been around for quite a while. One of the things, like yesterday, we were talking and discussing about L-theanine, and hopefully you got to look it up and see if there's any benefit for yourself other than to help you calm down, stack it with magnesium, like magnesium glycinate. Magnesium glycinate, great stuff. But there's 5 to 6 different types of magnesium out there, like citrate, which helps move your bowels, so when you're looking at supplements, make sure you research again, talk to your primary care physician. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a gynecologist. Never thought about being one. I couldn't imagine, dealing with stuff you want to play with all the time. Just doesn't sound right. But I'm neither a doctor, physician, midwife, healthcare professional. I'm just someone who, through trial and error, trying different things because the error in judgment I made in my life and poor decisions, sobriety, things of that nature, maybe do things that may not have been beneficial to my health and mental well-being. So yesterday, again, we talked about L-theanine. And when I discuss these things with you, again, a lot of it's trial and error. Things that, like when I was overseas last year, finding out that I had deep vein thrombosis, blood clot, things of that nature down in my lower left leg. And if you didn't know that because you've not heard the podcast, Diary of a Bald Man, or the new one, Growing Old at the Speed of Dark, it took a lot to overcome some of these challenges. So the one I'm talking about today, because this just ain't for the, the cranky, the crassy, and wanting to be cured. This is for you young ones too. Now, I told you my favorite, supplements would be coming from like the L-theanine. Hold on a second, I just knocked something over. Hell, I can't see what it is. Anyways, not important, but my favorite producer of supplements, not Eli Whitney, not the Prozac, not the methadone. We don't want to discuss that, right? Because that may cause triggers for people that actually need it. But Nutricause. But with today's important supplement for you guys and gals is vitamin D3 and K2. Now, why is this essential? Because again, with our environment, we're eating stuff like, and again, nothing disparaging against Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King. I mean, who doesn't love a fucking Whopper with bacon, right? You get a whole different mindset when you're not hungry. So these things help us make it through the day. The light carbs from the bread or the carbs we get from the French fries, but we also get potassium. We also get salt, right? Helps us stay hydrated. D3 and K2. Why is this important? So if you know somebody old, mature, still looks amazing, but they're kind of wobbly out there, what D3 does is D3 pulls calcium from the food. Calcium is essential for bones, teeth, and things of that nature. But if you don't understand about cardiovascular disease, part of what happens is your veins get clogged up with calcium, fats, and some cholesterol. But cholesterol is critical for a brain barrier sheath. So you got to be careful if you're on cholesterol medication, because who doesn't need a brain? Obviously, some people say politicians are not, using theirs, so they must be on cholesterol reducing medications. I'm not telling you to stop taking cholesterol medications. I'm just telling you about impacts. So how do we get that calcium out of our blood? Well, that's where K2 comes in. K2 is the traffic cop. So D3 is pulling the calcium from the food. D3, helps pull that into your system because you need it for your teeth, your bones, because we have like older, mature people that fall, break their hips, bad knees, things of that nature. Well, K2 is the traffic cop. K2 is the one that says, calcium, get your ass out of the blood. Let's get it into the bones where it's needed. So it's kind of like a 50 shades of gray for your bloodstream. One is pulling it out and one's pushing it in. And what's great about this and what's important to know is these are fat soluble. So you want to take it with like avocado toast or eggs. But the reason I specifically went to this brand is because it has coconut oil. It is a form of fat. And for those of you with a gag reflex, it's easy to swallow. So that's important because so many people, when they take gel caps, they feel it lodging into the throat. I know my wife hated taking like fish oil or, supplements of that nature for the fact that they would just kind of stick, right? Not lubricated. These are not lubricated on the exterior. So, you want to take it with water, not with coffee. You want to take it with food or something fat soluble, because if not, all you're doing is creating really expensive urine. You don't want to be pissing away the health benefits of D3 to pull that calcium out and the K2 telling it where to go. Thank you for listening. This is Alan Wolford. If you have a question about a supplement, please feel free to email me at diaryofabaldman1968@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Be healthy. Watch those gag reflexes.